Now you're listening to Fantastic Formosa with Joh Abrams in Taipei. All right, folks, we're here with another episode of Fantastic Formosa. Luna is back again. Thanks for coming back.
Hello, guys. Nice to be back here with you. And I think I'm taking the role of interviewer today, am I?
Luna wants to practice her radio skills. Actually, she's quite the expert. So let's see what she's going to do.
Right, so let's have a quiz.
A quiz?
Yeah, so see how well you know your audience. So tell me who is listening to you now.
Well, it's the Taiwan military, and it's also broadcast in shortwave across Southeast Asia, Malaysia.
Oh, dear.
Why?
'Cause I didn't know that.
Well, it's just very few people listen to shortwave. Radios are very hard to find.
You would be amazed.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so what are the ages of your listeners?
Well, in the military, it obviously would be 18 to 30, probably.
No, young people.
Yeah, people who want to practice their English, listening skills, maybe learn about other people in different countries. I have a variety of different guests from all over the world. And from South America, from the Middle East, from Europe, from everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you a few questions then, for them to learn a bit more about you.
Oh, sure.
So, John, where were you born, and where did you live? During the first 20 years of your life.
Oh, wow. Well, I lived in a small farming community in the Midwest, Indiana. We lived in the countryside. It was a farming community, so we worked on farms, fixing equipment or working in the fields. We stabled horses. We didn't own the horses, we only stabled them. That means that people would leave them at our place, and we would feed them and make sure they were...
So you looked after them, basically?
Basically, we owned them. They were our horses. No, they would often bring them over and ask us to stable them, and then we'd never see them again.
Oh, really? So you used them as well?
Well, we didn't use them. We would ride them to keep them, people like to ride horses, and if you don't ride them quite often, they can become difficult. They're not dumb animals. They do enjoy making trouble for you.
Okay, so just make sure you didn't eat them.
No, eating a horse would be pretty much impossible, I think, and we didn't do that. I think France does that.
Yeah, they do it in France, in Mongolia.
Oh, Mongolia.
Yeah, so I went to Mongolia a few years back, and I saw horse meat being sold in supermarkets and shops. So obviously that they eat them.
My God. Okay. Were these obviously horses cut up in pieces, or?
It was just nicely packed, meat.
Okay.
Some of them were cured already. So obviously, maybe the horses that they don't use for riding or for farming. So they cut them up.
Well, we had. They used to make glue out of horses.
From the skin, right?
I'm not sure how they did it, but they make glue out of horse meat. Yeah. So whenever you had a dead horse, you would just call the number and they'd come and get it for free. And you didn't have to bury this 400-pound animal.
But they're really beautiful creatures, isn't it? And it's a shame to eat them, really.
Yeah. Well, there's always a mystique, we call it, about horses. But when you actually had to deal with them every day, they became difficult animals to deal with. So in the movies, you always ride them with a saddle. but we almost never use saddles.
Right.
Saddles just took too long to put on there, and unless we were going to take a long ride.
Wow.
Yeah, but go ahead.
In London, right? They have that force of mounted police. They ride the most beautiful horses. You've seen, the London police, right? Met Police riding really, really majestic looking horses around.
That's the Queen's Guard, right? The mounted Queen's Guard, maybe?
No, the Met Police use horses.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
It's for controlling crowds.
Yeah, and patrolling around.
New York
really
does
beautiful.
it. Chicago, I think. Washington sometimes.
Yeah.
The horses are very intimidating.
Yeah, they can be.
Not because they can bite you or anything, but because they can step on you.
Yeah.
And that's enough right there to move people out of the way.
And they give the police such a, elevated kind of platform to view the crowd.
Right.
So give them some advantage in crowd controlling.
Yes, they can see it all around. Yes.
Yeah. And apart from the horses, what did you do when you were growing up?
Well, we were pretty bored. We did not have,
No computer game?
No, there were no computers. We had televisions, two televisions. One was a black and white, and the other was a color TV. And we would watch, there were only 3 TV stations. And at midnight, they would turn off. They would automatically sign off. And then they wouldn't come back on till 6 a.m. for the weather report. So at midnight, they would always fly the American flag and the American national anthem.
Right.
And then that was it.
Do you know, I never watched TV. I haven't watched TV for at least 15 years.
Wow,
yeah.
Why?
Because I worked on TV. I used to work for a TV station, so I watched too much TV during work hours. So when I get home, I just no TV. I really, really can't stand it at home.
But do you have a favorite program you like to watch, like Netflix or HBO TV series?
I watch Netflix sometimes. So I'm learning Mandarin at the moment, and I'm trying to watch Mandarin movies to improve my skills, but it's so difficult. And the most difficult thing is that the writing system, you can't really tell, if you can't read something, it makes learning a language much, much more difficult, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gave up.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go back to the States. So you lived there until when? And when did you leave?
It was a gradual exodus. Exodus is a famous phrase. I'm leaving a place. I had a large family, my brothers and sisters, and so we are all very different personalities, and I was the first to go to college. So my family was very proud of that. And so I went to university, and I majored in political science, they call it, and philosophy. So, and that made things a little difficult when I went home, because I was learning much more about the world than my own family understood. They saw the world differently. Very. If you're in a farming community, everything is physical. It's not philosophical. It's not. So, yeah, but you can't take that experience away. So I was still very, still a country boy. I still like to go shooting, and I still have those, I guess, habits of childhood. We used to fight when we were kids. Today, people are not allowed to fight in America. Kids, just wrestle, and fight, and nobody really got hurt. It was just part of life. But I had 3 brothers, and so we were always, I think, pretty much every day fighting. So it doesn't make me tough or anything, but it does sort of prepare you for life a little bit.
That's when you fell and broke your leg.
Well, that was ice.
Okay.
I stepped on something, and I found myself at the bottom of something else, and I didn't think I broke it till I stood up and tried to walk, and obviously it wasn't working. So we didn't actually go to the hospital for a couple of days, hoping that it was just what we call a sprained ankle. But I knew it was broken. It was twisted too funny. That's not normal.
Where are your brothers now?
Well, that's I had 2 sisters and 3 brothers, and one of my sisters just passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and she had a stroke. And one of my brothers works in a bank. Another one works in a factory of some sort. I'm not sure what he does. And one was killed in a shooting accident.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Kind of a strange situation. But when I do go home, it's my older sister, actually my younger sister, but the oldest one after me, that is sort of like we call the touchstone. The touchstone is something you go back and you connect automatically with to reconnect yourself to an environment or a place. I do feel like a stranger in a strange land, which is a famous quote from the Bible. It's a phrase that people use when they're in a different country and they feel like they're too different to really adapt to that world. And it was also the title of a famous science fiction book about a guy from Mars, the planet, who came to Earth. He looked human, but he wasn't. So the name of the title is A Stranger in a Strange Land. So that's a common phrase, yeah. So it's not unusual to feel that way if you have like culture shock. Culture shock, you go home. And, my English has changed. It's no longer sounds like the original English I learned as a child. So when I do speak to people, they're not sure who they're talking to on the phone. They think, who is this? They don't recognize my voice. So
you left?
Well, I gradually left. Yeah. I would...
you joined the army, right? Did you serve?
No. I went to graduate school for a while. I got my graduate degree, master's, in philosophy, of course. And then I went into moved to a friend's, a high school friend of mine had an apartment. He was in the U.S. Navy. And I moved out to Damnick, they call it. Damnick is a U.S. Navy training facility. So I was there. It's a famous place. There's a lot of SEALs. If you don't know what a SEAL is, they're special operations people. So I spent a few years there. And then I wrote a book on spies, very well known. And then I became a journalist. I started traveling around Asia, writing stories, hoping to write another book. But books have become sort of... people don't really read books anymore.
Too much. It's social media.
Well, yeah, even before social media, people were not, really right. There's no money in books. you would sign a contract, and you get a
You get some
year.
advance.
Take a year, yeah, maybe if you got an advance.
Mm.
But if you're naive, you don't know anything about the business. The advance is only half the money they offer you.
Yeah.
So if you're offered $1,000 US, you only get 500.
Right.
So then you get a year to write a book, and that means you have to travel, pay for everything, traveling, and so I flew to Hong Kong and Taiwan and Washington D.C. I did a lot of research, and the book company went out of business. So my second book didn't come out. But it usually takes about 3 years from the contract to actually getting a royalty check, maybe 4 years, depending on your advance. And so they own your book. You don't get to move it around like you can today. You can write a book on Amazon, and you own the copyright. Copyright means you have complete ownership of the book. So you can change the book. You can add more stuff to the book. You can take it down, delete it. So the world's changed. It's amazing. And the traditional book publishers that are so famous 20 years ago are in financial trouble. They cannot do that so quickly. So I can write a book, publish it, and get a paycheck in a week, automatically. It might take me 6 weeks to write the book, or 6 months, or 6 years. It doesn't matter. So
you have been more or less in Asia for quite a long time, in the last few decades.
90.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever been accused of being a spy?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
By who?
Well, people who don't, people who are naive, who don't understand spies. They think that spies are like the movies. I don't think I have any of the talent a spy, really good spies have. And I understand how it works. I understand the entire process of training and going to an operation and working in an operation, but I don't. In fact, I'm not impressed by professional spies at all, actually.
Really?
Yeah, sorry. Basically on my own.
Don't say sorry. I've never met a spy.
Well, I'm talking about retired people that have retired and written
Right.
books, and I've had a few dinners and drinks with, and they when they reach their best capability, their best expertise, where they really can do something good, they usually replace them with a younger person.
All right.
And then they take
Interesting.
that experienced person and put them on a desk.
Mm.
So it's a very strange. It takes about 10 years to get someone really good in operations in the field, and then boom, you're on a desk. It's a terrible waste of talent. But I've been accused in newspaper articles even. I don't know what to say about it. Even my children think I work for somebody. It's kind of funny, actually, to a point, because it's not a good thing, actually, to have a false belief in your father, something that's not true, right? Because they'll tell that story the rest of their lives. But yeah, I know a lot about the subject because I'm sort of like a hobby guy. It's my hobby. My first trip was Hong Kong, 1990, just after the problems in China. And I loved Hong Kong back then. I loved the place.
Hong Kong is nice.
Yeah, it was even nicer. I think it was a lot of fun for a young person to be in Hong Kong in 1990 through 92. Great fun. Exciting. Very small, actually, right? And yet so much is there. So yeah, basically. And so I caught the bug, as they say. Catching the bug is like catching the flu. So I caught the journalism bug, they say, or I caught this music bug, became a musician, or I caught, the sports bug. That means I really love sports, or something. So I caught the journalism bug. Yeah. But I was also disappointed with journalists, finally. I didn't think that they were really... I just thought there were two types. There were the very arrogant types who wanted a Pulitzer and want to be rewarded for their good writing. And they always came from Harvard or some Ivy League college. And I went to a small college, came from a farm. So I was really embarrassed to be around them. And then there's the other journalists who were the photographers. And they were always dressed like, not soldiers, but definitely like they're going to go hiking or something. They wear the vests and they look really rugged. And they just seem like they're really, like, they don't believe anything they're being told, which is probably the best way to be. But, so yes... made Taiwan my home, finally, in 1997, and met a wonderful woman and got married and had 2 kids. And
the rest is history.
Yes, the rest is history. Right, yeah.
But I agree about journalists. Some of them can appear very aggressive, intrusive, rude. But I think in general they're okay. I mean, it's you've got to, what you have to pay, the price you pay for being a journalist, being able to travel and to know things and to meet people. I think the best journalists are those who are able to speak to anybody and to get the stories out of anything at all. But I mean, those cannot be rude or aggressive. Yeah. So, I mean, so what is your plan for the future?
Well, I'm old. So
That's not a plan.
That's not a plan. So I'm old, and that means that I have to finish my children's proper education.
How old are they?
They are in junior high. So I have to make sure that they can learn certain skills to survive in the world that's coming. I think the future is very unstable with the government situations, Ukraine, Israel, U.S. These are very uncomfortable political and military problems. So that's one of my biggest fears is, what does the future offer my children's generation? And when you take a look at what we call, in America, we have something called the woke progressive movement, and they seem to reject what we call objective facts for subjective feelings. When I was a kid, college kids protested the Vietnam War. Well, that was understandable because they had friends and relatives that were fighting there and dying, coming back in wheelchairs. But the current crisis seems to be over a country that they don't know where it is on a map. They can't find it on a map. So it seems like they're just protesting as part of the cultural experience of being a college student. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is a cultural experience for college kids, or do they really care about what's going on in the Middle East?
It depends, really. I think most of them actually do care. They're much better educated than, my and your generation. I think they know so much more, and they have access to much more information as well. Because, apart from the schools, they also have, official media and social media, and they talk to their peers across the world, and they travel much more than us. So, I think most of them care, and some of them do it because they're young and they join in whatever their friends do. But I think it's, mostly genuine. Yeah.
The issue regarding educational opportunities in the United States is the main concern I have. We have a situation where some of these universities are giving away A's and B's in class for little or no work, but at the same time, they're getting educated by the internet, YouTube.
Exactly.
When I was a child, I could not get Shakespeare. I had to go to the library, which was 20 miles away, and I had no one to explain to me Macbeth or Hamlet. I had no idea what they were talking about. So today I can just pull up several different plays on the internet, YouTube, and watch them, and even have someone explain them as they're being, performed. So they do have a wonderful educational tool. But at the same time, it makes me nervous when I get into an MRT, the subway system, and everyone is looking at their phones. I mean, there's not a single person looking at the others. Nobody's talking or meeting or whatever. So how do people meet each other and talk and get to know
online?
New people?
I think lots of people meet online first, and then they decide that they like each other enough to meet outside, offline.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, your children are growing up in Taiwan, so you don't have that concern. Similar to if they were growing up in the United States. Here they have a perfect education system, isn't it?
Right. I told my children recently, you might be the last generation that can read and write.
Yeah.
Because the mobile phones are, WT or FYI or, I go, this is not grammar, guys. This is, you have to learn grammar. You have to be able to speak eloquently, intelligently about what you believe in. Otherwise, people will play what we call word games on you. And that might make you believe something that is not true. But what you're right about journalists. The best journalists have what we call EQ, emotional intelligence skills. And that's something I really didn't have to worry about in my field because it was always military and is kind of spooky, spy stuff. And people in that world are always very difficult to talk to anyway, or rude. But you're different, Luna. You talk to everybody, right?
Yeah, I talk to everybody. I talk to dogs and cats as well. I talk to everyone. No. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I did one interview with a dog, so and he became my friend. So he was a skateboarding dog. He used skateboard and he was like sort of riding it everywhere.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
A skateboarding dog.
Yeah, and it was very, very nice. And
how did you interview? On the radio? Or
well, I did a video interview with the dog, and he did a showcase back in London.
You should be like a Pulitzer Prize winning videographer.
Pulitzer is only for American journalists. Do you know that?
I thought it was Reuters could also be
Nope.
Pulitzers.
It's only American.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I thought Reuters. Okay.
Reuters is no longer British.
Well, one of the things I told a friend, I said, well, they're running out of journalists to give Pulitzers to, because all the newspapers and magazines are now becoming they're not newspapers anymore. I don't quite know what they are. But you have something called the British tabloids, right?
Yep.
And what's a tabloid exactly?
So the word tabloid, that comes from the size of the newspaper, right? The smaller size, when the big newspaper, it's like the big sheet, right? It's called,
right, like
the
London
broad sheet,
Times or whatever.
Yeah, so tabloid is smaller, so presumably laborers back in the days could put in their pockets and read it whenever they have time. So the newspaper is actually full of gossips and stories that no one can check on, celebrities and the royal family and
royal family is a big one.
Yeah,
and scandals involving
and
celebrities,
like horse betting results and things
horse
like that.
betting. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a tabloid, but nowadays, and one of the famous tabloids in the UK called The Sun.
Yes.
The Sun.
Yes.
They always have that page 3 as it's like dedicated to the sole portrait of a woman, like often topless.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
so from that comes the term page 3 girl.
Page 3 girl. All right.
Yeah.
And you had to get every day to see who the new girl was.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was their selling point.
Bizarre. It sounds so crazy, doesn't it?
Well, it's, for a generation of young British men, there was their introduction into the world of adult.
American men, or maybe Americans take themselves too seriously, but we do have these tabloids in America. Some of them are very strange. One of them is called. It always has the cover of the newspapers always has something to do with a conspiracy theory. Normally a monster hiding, or lizard men. Now we have lizard men in the White House.
What's the name of the publication?
Oh my gosh, I've forgotten.
Forgot.
It's always at the grocery store, right there next to the cash register, and the stories are crazy. But people buy these; they love them.
Right.
And the headlines are really like huge. Woman gives birth to alligator monster or something.
God.
Or something like that. But that's not hard news.
No.
British tabloids will have I guess the truth, or
half truth. Yeah. Okay. But they say that half of bread is a bread, but half truth is not truth, right?
Right. Yes. And they love to talk about the British royal family.
Yeah, obsessed.
Why are they obsessed about the British royal family? I mean, I sort of feel sorry for them, actually.
Well, they're good for tourism, right? Lots of people travel to England for viewing, for seeing the royal family. So I guess it's good for the economy. But the obsession, I don't understand either. I'm not English. I lived there by chance, but I don't know.
How long did you live there?
20 years, more than 20 years.
20 is a long time. Yeah. So, do you understand the fascination for a royal family? I
think less and less now. People don't actually love and respect it as much as they used to.
Because of the Queen, she died.
Yeah, I think the Queen was a reason. The Queen was widely respected. She was someone that generations of British people actually looked up to. her role during the war, the World War II, for
Right.
example. She was like, the leader then. She was really smart, and she dedicated her life to the nation.
Hmm.
So, but since her death, and now, look at the joke.
Yeah, Prince Andrew, is it?
King Charles. Yeah, one Prince
Oh,
Andrew.
King Charles.
King Charles and Queen Camilla. Oh my
Oh,
God.
they're not married, are they?
They are.
They
Yeah.
did get married.
They did get married, and she did get to be made queen.
All
So
right.
now she's queen. She's not a consort.
A consort.
Yeah, I know.
A mistress. All right, consort, mistress. These are old words for girlfriend. Yes, he had been dating her before he married Diana.
That's right. So yeah.
And continued dating her, apparently.
So they separated for a bit, and then he came back to her. Despite Diana, I've never really understood why, because Diana compared to her was like just a total opposite, isn't it? She was beautiful and young and all that. Anyway, and then Diana was killed in the accident. And then they got back together.
Very strange accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now she's queen, and then King Charles was made king, and then now we have that feud between Prince William and Prince Harry. Harry is not. Is he still a prince? I don't remember.
He married the American woman.
Yeah, American
right,
woman.
the actress.
I think they like abandoned their royal title or something.
I think they lost some property too, right? Or the
it's
right.
all very confusing and very. Really, who cares?
Yeah, that was one of the strangest things to see come out of that. That he would fall madly in love with this actress, and that she would behave in a very not just anti-royalty, but anti-British way. And no matter what they do, the royal family can't get rid of her.
No.
She's on talk shows in America.
Yeah.
She's I don't know what's going to happen, but so if King Charles dies, does Camilla become the queen mom?
No, I think William will become king.
All right.
Yeah.
Fresh blood.
Because
right.
they don't transfer the throne to a person from outside there.
Has to be the bloodline.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, so he'll get in there. He seems to be a stable.
Yeah, he seems respectable, a bit boring, and he lost all his hair. Did you see that? I mean, he's got that huge bald patch on the top of his head.
All right.
He used to be quite good looking.
Okay. All right. So maybe he should just, like a lot of men do in America, shave his head and grow a goatee.
Oh,
A
no.
goatee, the mustache and the little beard under
they don't
the...
look too American.
He'll look like the devil. How about that?
But then there's been rumors about him and his wife, Catherine. So they've been talks about how they like close the divorce or something. I hope
Really?
it's not going to happen. Catherine is nice enough, right? I mean, she was also quite moderate, and anyways, they have lots of children together, and there's a big royal family, etc., etc.
She's beautiful.
Catherine. She's too thin, no?
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's very skinny.
Not like her competition.
Who is her competition?
What's her name? The actress.
He's no competition to Catherine.
Oh, yes. All right.
Harry has no chance to become anything.
No, he's finished. And I don't know how they let him do that. He was the second brother, right? The youngest brother. So.
Yeah, but also he was rumored to be from a different father, not Charles. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You've never heard that?
No.
Really? Okay. So there was a helper, an assistant in the family, and they talk. They said that that Harry might be his child. So,
Wow. When you think about it, they don't look very similar, do they?
No, and also Harry is a redhead.
Yes, but wasn't her mother red?
No.
No. So who is this mystery person? A bodyguard or?
He was a military person who was like teaching them to ride horses. Yeah. Well, I'm sure people can Google. Yeah.
Well, I love mysteries. That's one reason I'm a journalist. I love the mysteries. What we call intrigue. Is that something that you think is fun about journalism? That you learn new things all the time and are surprised by the world?
Yeah. One of the things that attract me to journalism is that you learn so many things. You learn a lot of information, and you meet so many people, and you go to many places.
Yeah, I love traveling. When I was a staff correspondent, 10 years.
Yeah, so the name of the guy who, the retired British Army captain who was supposed to be Harry's
real father.
Yeah, is James Hewitt.
Redhead?
Redhead.
Okay.
But don't bank on my words. It's not confirmed, okay?
Do you think Asians are more interested in mysteries and intrigue than Americans?
Oh, it's similar everywhere, right? I mean, you compared to me
Or British?
are more interested
British.
in mysteries.
Yeah, all right. I don't think Americans are so interested. I mean, there's the Kennedy family, and they're always in trouble. The President John F. Kennedy, and then Robert Kennedy, and then his brother Teddy Kennedy, and their father, and then John F. Kennedy's son died mysteriously, and they call it the Kennedy curse. Because everybody in the family seems to have this horrible life experience. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. We call it palace intrigue. Palace intrigue, yeah. I think that's true in other countries. I think you see that in Thailand now quite a bit, right? And Malaysia, Indonesia, maybe. Particularly Malaysia. I'm not sure about who's in charge now, but we love these things in movies. Yeah. So, how much longer are you going to be living in Taiwan?
I'm not sure, really. I kind of do a lot of freelance work, and it's quite slow at the moment. So I don't know.
Well, it should heat up pretty soon. I think the Chinese are sending a lot of Coast Guard vessels to the island, the Philippines. And that should be this week or next when they get there.
Yeah.
20 ships, or is it more? I'm trying to remember.
And also they've been challenging some of the outer islands of Taiwan, right? I mean, you've heard about them getting close to Kinmen, and maybe that something will happen there in the Taiwan Strait. What do you think?
Have you been to Kinmen?
Yes.
I mean, you can just walk to China. It's so close.
No, it's about 10 kilometers from.
Yeah, but you can see it. I was on Dongying, Erdon, and as part of the Kinmen Island community of islands, and those things are quite literally walking distance. Scary close. And when I was there was a Chinese tourism boat that went all the way around our island we were on, and this is 30 years ago. But they were all taking pictures of us, and we were taking pictures of them, and I raised my arm up, and I said, Meg Warren, American, and the Taiwan Army guys, they told me to be quiet. It was just fun. It was a strange place, a lot of Cold War history. I love history. But you've been a great guest, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me, and lovely to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I think everyone will enjoy this program.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.